观众，欢迎来到本周 LPL 第2比赛日的直播。先来看一下昨天最后一场比赛 ，OMG 是战胜了老干爹。老干爹在昨天遭遇了0比2，被 OMG 拿到3分。
对，确实感觉老干爹在面对 OMG 的时候还是实力略逊一筹。
没错，那这边 MVP 呢，我们是给了卡牌，这把卡牌的表现确实很不错。
最近无状态只要比赛里拿出卡牌，基本上发挥都非常的完美。他的卡牌就是线上的意识特别好，发现无状态中路真的是意识非常的好。
他虽然那一场被连续针对，
对各种针对，
每一个闪现都是被打出来的。
这个镜头我不是第一次看见了，之前好像对阵哪两个队的时候也是无状态中路各种被抓，但始终就是抓不死。
对，
包括有一次是对阵对面狮子狗加泽拉斯，我记得他炸弹人就是一旦狮子狗要过来的，好像提前有预判一样，
这个意识非常的好，对于对方什么时候来对自己进行 gank。好，那么今天的第一场比赛同样是来自于昨天的老干爹战队。那今天老干爹这场比赛可以说是对他们来说非常的重要。
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LPL. Of course, this is the English coverage of such as you are hearing our words, hopefully hearing them across. I'm Pyrotechnics, joining the broadcast this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, by the awesome Froskeren. You ready to go?
I hope so. If I just drop out and I die, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not feeling very well, so you know ahead of time. My brain has literally melted.
You're trooping through it, though, and I thank you personally for doing it. I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, I wouldn't have anyone else do it, at least. But tonight's matchup's going to be some pretty good games, I think. Some of them, some people might call foregone conclusions, but you never know. This is the LPL. We know a little bit better, at least. This is, of course, going to be Invictus Gaming taking on LGD for the first match of the night, and then Edward Gaming will take on World Elite Academy later on.
And like you said, it's kind of hard to really get a solid prediction, especially in the recent weeks. Typically beforehand, everyone would have been like, oh, you know, EDG is going to easily 2-0 World Elite. They're going to walk over them. But the last matchups that EDG have, they kind of stumbled out of the gate against also kind of lower bracket team Young Glory. Likewise, IG has really never found solid footing this entire split. The only team that they have been able to 2-0 consistently is their sister team, actually, Young Glory. But we're already in the roster lineups.
Yongsu rocking, giving everybody a little bit of a peace sign, but rocking the triple in the last 3 picks, Shyvana, so he's really favoring that a lot more lately, branching out from when he was pretty much focusing on Gragas, of course. Yeah, this is a team that has been kind of like, flip a coin, we're going to win this game or lose this game is how it goes. And they haven't necessarily lost 100% to everyone, but yeah, been having trouble. Illusion, he might get hit with some patch problems this time. Skarner has been nerfed recently.
Yeah, it is 4.11. Just to clear up the changes for Skarner, he was literally just hit with the nerf across the numbers board. Magic damage, physical damage down by 10 on across all levels, as well as his movement speed decreased 1%. But in the mid lane, it's going to be Zitai. You see those Lux Sharks. They actually got a Lux ban against him. Zitai, what's the quote? He doesn't have a champion pool. He has a champion C, a very murky...
Sharks.
Exactly, champion C. Lux Sharks with lasers on their heads.
Lots of laser beams attached to their heads. And of course, in the bot lane, it's going to be Kid been favoring those Trinity Force-esque AD carries, but mostly Tristana lately. You did see him pull out Ezreal recently, as is also seen on screen. He used to be a main of that champion, I believe.
Oh yes, Ezreal, big pick for him, but he's found a lot of success on Tristana and Twitch at the beginning of this series. And likewise with him, it's going to be Kitty's in the bot lane. Kitty's actually really well known for his Thresh play. It's consistently banned against him, which is why you've started to see him pick up Braum and Leona.
Yep, by their powers combined, they are the most adorable bot lane in China. Kid and Kitties.
Kid and Kitties. They are one van away from a pedophile.
Oh, well, that turned dark really quickly.
Yeah, it got a little negative.
Just a skosh. That's okay. Looking over on the other side, it will, of course, be LGD. And speaking of negativity, this is a team that has had a lot to overcome. Currently sitting at not the nicest win, right? You saw them last night falling down to OMG in 0-2 fashion, which I suppose is to be expected. They are, of course, sitting not exactly on top of the standings. In fact, I'll go ahead and take the opportunity to kick us over there just to show you before we get going in this one that they are currently in 6th place on the cusp of playoffs. But back to the players is, of course, going to be PYL on the support role. Team captain PYL.
And again, another big Thresh player. I expect that to be a contested pick or completely off the board because you cannot let PYL or Kitties have that champion. Joining him in the bot lane is going to be XQ, and I really like XQ. Obviously, replacing STYZ, who everyone considered kind of a god tier AD carry, but I feel like XQ has really shown something special, and personally, I believe better than STYZ.
And he's also pulled out a lot of interesting picks lately, like Jinx, and of course, speaking of interesting picks, it's Wayless, who likes himself a good variety of things, but he's been on the Ahri hype train lately, and he also has a much more versatile champion pool in general than most of his team, and we're about to compare him to probably the least versatile player on this roster. Of course, in the jungle it is going to be Xuan, who likes Lee Sin, and not a lot else, but he has played Evelynn and Jarvan recently.
Two, not much success. I will say that those games against OMG appeared closer strategically than they actually turned out to be, but like I said, hasn't found a ton of success there. Lee Sin, like you said, is that huge pick for him. Excuse me. And up in the top lane, it's going to be 17. Also kind of a powerhouse of the team. He likes his big tanky champions, came out of the gate with like the Renekton picks, has now switched over to the meta with Gragas, Mundo, things like that. But I feel like the base and the core of this team is the ability for XQ to be A, mechanically proficient, but B, very intelligent in what he does. And the fact that they put him on hyper carries now, like Jinx, he's really found his stride. And C, Wayless. Wayless is a huge part of this team, although he has a bit of a issue of going with what the Chinese like to call two hero. We call it in America ham. And does he go ham?
Too much hero, and well, ham is bad for you in certain quantities, and hopefully he will not have any heart attacks this particular game. Picks and bans already underway. Invictus Gaming going to be on the blue side, LGD on the red for game number 1. Yasuo banned out of the gate against the Wayless, of course.
And look at the team captain, ZZ Tai, literally on the computer for Youngsu.
You don't get to ban.
I got this.
It's cool. We got it.
And that's really
pretty much runs it.
Yeah, and that's really been kind of an issue why Invictus Gaming has, again, kind of failed out of the start. You think last split they were adjusting to a brand new shot caller in the form of PDD. This split, PDD, of course, retires, and they're adjusting to another brand new shot caller in Zitai. The fact that they don't have a coach. Just fun fact, Invictus Gaming does not have a coach. Their former coach was the coach of the first place team, currently OMG.
Yeah, and they have had some stumbling issues, but I think they're able to find relative success across the board. It's not as good as they would like, but considering where they were last season, yeah, definitely not at the same level.
They have taken games off of every single team.
But not too many 2-0s.
The best and the worst.
By the way, those bans too, the Lee Sin, Gragas, yeah, this is directly hitting the nerve centers of LGD, and you see LGD really responding with more of a typical Chinese pick ban phase, something that's like general, we're going to ban this against you because we think it's good, the solo queue mentality.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really curious to see if Illusion is going to turn back to Skarner. Like you said, Skarner has seen recent nerfs on the patch that they're playing, 4.11, or if he's maybe going to try to double whammy Chuan and pick up the Jarvan, since pretty much his champion pool is Lee Sin, Jarvan, and his Elise has been seeing some play.
Maokai comes out in 4.11. All right, and this is because of the buffs too. This is the patch when Quillcoat gets introduced. Do you think we're going to see that jungle, or do you think Youngsu's going to play it?
I believe it's going to be the top Maokai. Like you said, this is the patch that Maokai's changes are introduced. Between 4.11, 4.12, and 4.13, nothing really changes for that champion. Yes, the Quillcoat has been engaged, but he didn't necessarily come out right out of the gate as a jungler with a lot of success, whereas he came out right out of the gate as a top laner with a ton of success. But on the other side, it looks like Chuan is going to be picking up his secondary and taking that Jarvan away.
Yeah, PYL also going to get to rock the Thresh, and it looks like that will get locked in this time. It's all right, Kitty's got plenty of things he can do, and immediately out of the gate, Zitai decides to go for the Lulu pickup, and if it is indeed Youngsu in the top, which is looking like more and more, and Zitai has already opted to go for the Lulu pick. Interesting that they wouldn't decide to maybe pick an 80 carry out from under LGD, just considering they haven't seen what the mid is yet.
Well, they have very strong options for 80 carry left. Like, there's no way that LGD can take both Tristana and Kog'Maw off the board.
About it. Well, I mean, Invictus Gaming is thinking about picking up an 80 carry. Kid has been pretty solid on Tristana, who has just been incredibly popular across the board. And I think this is a good takeaway, too, because XQ plays a lot of hyper carries, and that it's sort of a hedging your bets. So they don't have to pick up Evelynn right away.
I think he'll go Jinx here.
Or Kog'Maw. Thank you, Deft.
The thing about Illusion that I want to, or not Illusion, I'm like staring at the Tristana pick. The thing that I want to talk about with Kid, in the context of Tristana, is obviously she's an AD carry that has an escape rocket jump, and you have to recognize that Kid's best champion and his most recognized champion is Ezreal. And if you've ever watched how he plays Ezreal, it's completely different than every other Ezreal out there. The champions like that require so much finesse, there's almost a touch of flair that a personal player can put on it. That is the 4.11 Lucian was not changed. There's literally
he went from strong to still strong, if I recall.
Still
the patch
strong.
notes correctly.
Yes, that was the patch
strong.
notes. But there's no E changes, range changes, or CDR changes. That is completely normal Lucian. But how Kid uses escapes, he's very much more based about an auto attack Ezreal than he is the caster Ezreal. Not that he can't hit his skill shots, but he actually will never use his E for an engagement. He's so good at positioning himself and knowing the max capabilities of that champion without ever burning the E ineffectively. And with Tristana, you'll see the exact same thing. Whereas you'll see people like Vasily in North America, they'll rocket jump. This is probably a bastardization of this, but they'll rocket jump into the team. But I see that.
I want to derail your train of thought because things just got a little violent. I don't know where I was going. That's an interesting choice.
For jungle, it makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I would have thought Illusion would go for definitely the Evelynn this time. However, I guess seeing the remainder of LGD's team,
it's the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, that's the big part. You have to focus that down, and that is a lot of single target CC available to them. So this is most definitely a maybe not typical, but a pick composition out of
top
IG.
Fizz.
Wait, what just happened in this game? All right, I thought that was the weirdest pick was the Vi, even though that's not off meta. But all right, double AP, let's go.
I've never yet seen the Fizz counter to the Maokai top in the professional scene. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't watched every single Korean game.
I can't make that claim. I have not seen every single game ever, but I'm fairly confident that is not your typical pick. And top Maokai is very new. It's funny how these things are coming out, even though China is a couple patches behind. That's still becoming. They're still trend setting in a way. I mean, a lot of people don't. Unless you're a regular watcher of this stream, don't know that Zatai started the Zillion mid before Faker did this season. He did it once. Okay, whatever, but still. It's really interesting to see how they pull these things out very, very quickly like that. And featured matchup top lane?
I'm looking at Fizz's abilities. He does have a shred on his, obviously the dot on his, I want to call it an auto attack steroid, even though it's technically not a steroid. It's just like an application or like an on-hit effect almost, but he gets it for like a duration, which might help him shred through Maokai, but I can't foresee how this combination will go. I will say that top Fizz will be hard to dive. Like the reason why Gragas is so good and why Maokai is so good is because A, you have sustain on Gragas, which is really strong in the top lane due to how the lifesteal changes and everything shaped out there. Innate tankiness, mobility. Of course, you're on an extended lane when you're on top because it's curved. The CC and the tankiness help that it's really hard to dive them. And in the current meta, China loves to dive and be the top laners. We're getting dove for days, so it's safer for them to be up there than other champions. Fizz does have the inability to dive because of his stripper pole, his playful trickster. But he doesn't. I know. He doesn't have sustain, which that said Maokai, unlike Gragas, even though Maokai's kind of the pseudo Gragas now, he's very similar to what Gragas does. Doesn't have sustain either, but Maokai also, he has like the wave kill, like Gragas is sapling straight for barrels, innately tanky. He has the CC, so it's really dangerous to dive him. Very tanky, obviously, with those R changes. So I'm really curious how this is going to shake up. I feel, though, that 17 has to get the snowball here. Otherwise, it's bad news bears for that fish.
We'll see how it goes. And hey, while we were talking, they loaded up onto the Rift, and everyone setting up in line of scrimmage. Invictus Gaming versus LGD, first game of the night. It's going to be, of course, 2 matches. So this one might be the chance for everyone to do something completely silly. Go, Sapling, go! Doesn't catch 17.
And we will credit Youngsu. I believe he was the first player of LPL to bring up the Gragas top. Of course, that Korean background. He does speak Mandarin, so there's no communication issues on his end for IG. Bringing out Maokai top in the first LPL game available. And just to be clear, there are no bans of champions in LPL. In the LCS, when you see people like Lucian disabled, Shin disabled, Rengar disabled, Xerath disabled, LPL never disables a champion.
Anarchy mode.
All of them are active.
Is always enabled. as
Exactly.
everyone looks to be taking a top start or a normal start to all of this. The 2v2 likely going to come out as a few wards are cleared early on. But it's all just playing around, bit of gold in the pockets that might afford you a potion if you do it enough times.
Historically, so the last time LGG and IG met,
Oh, history lesson.
LGG, I know, right? Actually 2-0'd IG, one of the few teams to just completely just stomp them. So yes, IG has taken a game pretty much on everyone except for LGD. Historically, however, so last split, the exact same thing happened. LGD 2-0'd IG the first time they met, but then the second time they met, IG 2-0'd them.
You know, it was almost a month ago the last time these two did play, too. That was the end of June, I believe, when the 2-0
Yeah, we're coming
happened.
very close to the finals, August 24th.
Yeah, this is week 2. I mean, week 8, day 2. I got myself all backwards. And, yeah, week 2 would have been, that would have been a long split. Oh, jeez. As everyone pretty much takes their places and gets ready to start it out. Yeah, camera guy, definitely keep it on the top lane right now. Yangsu and 17. It's just going to be kind of a slap fest, but you never know. Saplings and void fish and things like that.
Yeah, both of them get to the back line. They kind of do similar things against the enemy team. Jump to that back line, disrupt everything. Of course, Youngsu's going to be more of like a disruptive CC tank. As Kobe likes to call him, the best tank in the game right now for peeling and for disrupting things, whereas Fizz is just going to get to that back line and cause all sorts of chaos in the form of death and tears.
That is, I think we're getting grim tonight. Okay, Chuan and Illusion starting off pretty normally with a double bust. Everyone's just really playing this out very safe. A bit unconventional, but, well, maybe not necessarily unconventional. Invictus Gaming can control games like this if they want to, but whenever you're up against Fizz top, I suppose you gotta be prepared for anything. Curious to see how this Vi performs, but Chuan looking to make the first move in the top side, heading towards Yangsu, realizing this is happening, flag and drag over, but he preemptively flashes away from it. 17 will go home empty-handed, but they burn the flash.
Unfortunately, though, Illusion is also in the area, was perhaps looking for the counter gank, a little bit slow to the uptake. We'll see if he can get maybe a secondary gank onto that Fizz to at least alleviate the pressure by taking the flash, although, again, competing against Stripper Pole. But he didn't really... hold on.
Yeah, they're not done yet. Now it's Illusion going in, and actually just barely can't dash in to get him Playful Trickstered away. Yangsu, though, continues to trade into both junglers, really showing a lot of favoritism to this top side. Small wonders. Zatai should be able to take care of himself on Lulu. And the bot lane is already way pushed up, although you'd think LGD would focus a bit on that as well, but they had to pick one. And here we go again. Illusion, this is going to be a 2v2 here. Definitely going to be first blood. Will it be Yangsu going down? It is. Giving it over to 17 in that top as Illusion runs for his life, trying to get out of range as that and avoid giving up the double buffs to 17, but nicely picked up, nicely collapsed on, and LGD takes themselves first blood at 4 minutes in.
LGD could have looked for a 2-0 right there and really set Illusion behind taking its double buffs. If they had managed the tower aggro correctly, you saw that Chuan actually started to tank it. If it was Fizz leading with that Playful Trickster, he could have tanked at least 2 shots, Playful Trickster to juggle the aggro. It would have been beautiful, but fortunately Illusion gets out with his life. That said, should go back, although I think he's just popping pots at this point and trying to continue to jungle.
Illusion. Yeah.
Not the biggest issue that Yangsu died there. I mean, it's not make or break necessarily for a Maokai. It is hard, obviously, to get behind on any sort of champion, but he didn't miss a huge wave. He died kind of out in the middle of the lane, so it's not like he lost all the gold and the experience on his tower or anything like that. I always talk about, like, if you were to die, when would be the best case scenario? That was probably it for Yangsu. I think it's much more threatening for Fizz to go down at this point.
It wasn't too big a deal, and it was worth the attempt to get in there. The fact that Illusion didn't go down, didn't give up his double buffs, they didn't lose a lot on IG's side. Just a little bit of time farming. And they actually are barely behind in the gold department. I mean, 1 kill's not really going to do a ton. It got Fizz, what, an Amplifying Tome? I don't even know if he bought the Doran's Ring first or if he went for the Flask after. It's barely an advantage. Now, Chuan is going to find Zatai here, but he's not going to want to go on it. Sees Illusion around the backside, and that's his time to run away. The infamous double ward comes in, though.
They need to make sure that they see all angles of that bush.
You need double 20/20 vision. You can get depth perception in there as well. Everyone's hitting levels pretty fast here. Yangsu got to be careful though, dealing with the Fizz all in. And he backs.
Yeah, I think it's the dot that works really well on his. I think it's his W.
I'm fairly confident that
His
that is the
E
correct
is his
one.
Playful Trickster. Yeah, his W is his
We'll talk about that in a
auto
minute,
attack.
because Zatai might go down here. Gets his wild growth off, just hit 6. Man, wiping beads of sweat off as he races away, doing a marathon, doing a sprint rather. Get back to his tower, and he decides to turn around back in for round 2. May not be the smartest idea. Sean's waiting around the side. Kid and Kitties, meanwhile, are trading it out in the bot. They're really taking care of lane. I mean, it's being kept up with very well by XQ, but still.
Kid and Kitties are recognizing a very strong position to keep the lane shoved against Lucian, which is actually really hard to do. Obviously, you have Tristana Explosive Shot, Tormented Soil of Morgana, like, keeping that pushed in. Typically, Tristana gets the way shoved onto her, and it's harder to CS into the tower due to that Explosive Shot, but
Yeah.
good recognition.
Wow.
They've yet to be punished for it.
17 was really thinking about going in on this, and he actually gets the gap close on. He does have his ult available, Maelstrom, if he wants to try and take a sustained fight. May not be the smartest thing against Fizz. He does have plenty of escapes, hence one of the reasons why he was picked, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be really, really feel it out for a while. I think Yangsu didn't expect this pick.
I don't think anyone really expected this
Does
pick.
anyone expect the Spanish Inquisition?
Is that what we're calling Fizz right now?
Well, if he was Spanish, I don't know. How can you tell where a fish is from? Which coast?
Oh, did you say in physician?
Yes, like a physician.
Oh, I see. I got it. It's got Fizz in the middle of the
well,
word.
you know what? I just assumed you'd know that.
I'm a little slow this morning, Pyra.
Well, I'm also making way too subtle jokes. Can you
Some
tell?
season
It's
I touch-
early, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Illusion is looking for an angle to go in on too, but whoa, kid! Oh, Tristana can't jump away from the hook, and that's going to be not enough damage. That is a close miss, and Twisted Fate couldn't go anywhere as he was a little bit preoccupied dealing with Zatai in the mid side. They did pick that kill up, so LGD once again finds a kill, but they really don't have any answer for this aggression that LGD is throwing at them. It seems like they're surprised by it.
The trick to beating IG is you beat the early aggression, and they tend to fall apart in the late game. And I like the call here from LGD to transfer this into a Dragon call. They say, hey, you know, we just took down their mid lane, we just forced their bot lane out. This is free, uncontested. Kind of a late Dragon, 8:30.
Well,
for,
late,
as far as
by China standards, yeah, that's definitely for sure. But they managed to secure the first one, and there was really no contest available. IG just seems very sluggish today. It's like they didn't wake up on time. Well, there's the Maelstrom. Yangsu
Well,
pops it on.
it's also a very different composite. We've talked about how Kid has found a lot of success on Tristana, but Tristana has really kind of found a recent power spike almost in the mid game. Like the first Dragon fight is where Tristana started to take off. You talk about like the pentakill that happened yesterday on LMQ's Vasily with his Tristana. They're all late game. You know, you got Tristana. Obviously, Maokai's strength, he can get ahead of his lane, but it's very much more about, you know, that team fight presence, getting involved with his team, using his insane tankiness and his insane peel and CC to really kind of get in there. And although he's really starting to put it to that fish right now.
Yeah, and he's got himself a pair of crystals too, so should turn that into a catalyst on his next back as well. Illusion, meanwhile, waiting in the mid to get a poke onto Wayless, who's having none of this, by the way. He can't quite keep up in farm, but he's certainly making it a close deal, and he's got a Doran's Ring on Zatai. Everyone wants to focus on this mid side. Illusion's actually going to find Xuan out there, and he wants himself a pair of double buffs. Can he secure it? So far, no. Good. Assault and Battery comes out, but Xuan is a lot bigger, goes back into the pit, and Illusion's standing there, not able to do much of anything. He's going to go down. Buff transfer is going to get completed over to Zatai, who picks up Xuan around the side, but he might be in trouble. Kitty's on the other side of the river, trying to give him a little bit of backup, but suddenly there was a PYL, and suddenly there was a Kitties, and suddenly there was a buff transfer.
Where you want your double buffs? Not on Zatai for LGD, obviously the big powerhouse of that team. Good wild growth, and I love the communication. Most junglers, you know, they would have missed that initial Vi Q, and they would have been like, no, I can't go out, although, hold on a second, because Kid going, okay, he's just going to walk away.
He wanted a little bit of ham there, but PYL, Emmanuel, will get locked up. Kitty says, I'll be right in your box, and he's going to go down to the Ignite, or is he? Oh my goodness, he lives! I can't believe it. That was one more tick of Ignite away. Wow.
PYL is so good at chugging pots. That is the best pot chugger in China, right there. I think he survived with like 13
In any other
HP.
context, this would be highly inappropriate, but it's not. And here's Kid going on XQ, gets the Buster shot off. He'll be popped. Can the ADC duel come to an end? It looks like it will, but it's going to be XQ getting the jump on. One more auto attack was all it took. And Kid's down for the count. They really keep getting these very near misses. And Invictus Gaming just a little bit unlucky on that.
Huge mechanical misstep that is very out of character for Kid. We were talking about how he's usually so cautious with his rocket jump. Two issues there. A, he rocket jumped and he didn't land on Lucian, so he didn't do any initial burst damage. B, he fought Lucian and rocket jumped into a wave of 3 creeps. At low levels, those creeps hurt, so...
Yeah, well, and he ran, too. He misclicked, it looked like, because when he had a chance to auto-attack for the kill, he moved like a few inches to the left.
I don't know if he... I don't think he canceled the auto attack. I think he was doing a good job of orb walking. You'd have to look at it slower, but that could also be a possibility. You are correct.
Well, I mean, he's got enough attack speed at this point
cancel.
where I was like thinking he would be able to finish it. He's almost got his Blade of the Rune King. He should have had that damage in the bag, but yeah, IG is just misstepping today, and it seems like, I don't know, maybe they didn't finish off. They didn't eat the proper cereal or eggs or whatever the regimen that they have in the morning, but it just seems like they missed a step.
Oh man, I need some Wheaties.
I was gonna say Meteos, and then I'm like, no, that's a player, and before it was a video game. would that be a good cereal? Probably not. It sounds like it has like meatloaf in it.
Well, to be fair, they're also doing a bit of experimenting, and we've yet to really kind of figure out if, because IG, you know, because they took second in Spring Split, they already have an invitation to the World Qualifiers.
So maybe they're not.
So
really
the only thing, well, the only thing really at risk here is if they, you know, are experimenting during the LPL phase, is that they don't get invited to playoffs for this split. Which, again, the playoff spot, why you want that is because the top 2 teams that finish for the summer split are also invited to the Worlds qualifiers. And everyone's obviously looking in-game towards Worlds, like this is the most important tournament.
True. You know, you have teams in other regions that aren't even competing in their respective... Yeah, hello CLG.
Exactly. So is this IG just being typical inconsistent shot calling IG without a coach, or is this IG being the most brilliant team about how to use their LPL season as far as like a creative and testing context?
Well, better to do it against LGD than some of the other teams. Still have a chance. Whoa, hello, Illusion. Can't even get his red buff, and he's maybe going to go down. I don't know, flashing over the side, still falls down, and Chuan looking to follow up onto Zatai. XQ and Wayless are there as well. They will fully collapse, and Kitties can't get to the party. He comes a little bit late. Got the invitation lost in the mail.
It's not quite over yet. PYL in the chase. Will he fight? No, okay,
no,
he's good.
They're backing off. That maybe they are experimenting, but you'd think they'd have a bit better mechanical performance. It seems strange.
Oh yeah, that was a complete mechanical misstep from Kid right there.
Now,
that though
is doing a good job chasing 17 away, and now it's ring around the tree line as one particular tree looks to make an impact here. He's going to go in, tosses a sapling, gets dodged away, and 17 once again not taking any damage. Playful Trickster really coming in handy.
That was really smart of 17 right there. Most fizzes you would think would actually just like walk back out because like, oh, he's going to debut me. But by actually escorting Maokai Yongsu around that tree line, he was effectively waiting for his Playful Trickster cooldown, knowing that he could afford to stay on the tower and get the farm and not sacrifice any of that. I really want to talk about how smart LGD are as a team. They do have some really high mechanical performance, and you have to think, like, in the context of China, they're effectively tiny little fakers all running around. Like, they're all faker-level mechanics. They just lack the faker intelligence, which makes faker such a threat. You know, when people talk... They're fakers. LGD is really smart. They're a very smart team, but they're not the most mechanically gifted across the board of Chinese teams, which is really unfortunate because you are facing such gods in the lane. I mean, XQ is really solid. I feel like Wayless is decently solid, but their strategical plays, their rotations, I see this time and time again. When LGD faced Starhorn, if you haven't watched that set, I highly recommend it. It was almost like mechanical aptitude versus better strategy. I think it actually split 1-1. Yes.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. We have a bit of a problem here. Looks like some issues. PYL complaining to the refs, saying, "Hey, what's going on? We have some disconnects. It's on LAN. I thought it couldn't lag." And
I love PYL's face.
His expressions are
upset.
great. You can just tell the visible exasperation. Guys, what's going on?
Because he has braces and his lip pulls forward. I just always like, guys.
Yeah. That's nothing compared to how sad IG looks, though. I mean, oh man, they're 1-6 right now. You see Zatai giving a little bit of a chew-out session. I think they really were expecting to do better than they have.
Could be talking some strategy. I'm unsure what the LPL rules are during pause. Obviously, the LCS, no one talks, but we can clearly see that PYL, the captain, and Zitai, the captain for IG,
I think this is a little bit better.
making their...
We'll head over to the standings really quick while we ascertain what's going on with all of these issues, and it looks like so far they're not entirely certain about it, but I'm guessing it's just one of the computer problems. Fans are pretty happy about it, but going over the standings, since we didn't have a chance at a quick rundown, of course, what's up for today? LGD does get a chance, if they can take 2 games here, to leapfrog Invictus Gaming. And, of course, if the latter wins, they will pull further and further away from LGD. Although, Invictus has less to lose, as you mentioned. They've already gotten the Worlds qualifier wrapped up just for finishing 2nd place in the last LPL Spring Split. So, Young Glory looking to maybe come up on this one too, but they're not playing today. They're 1 point behind LGD, so they might be feeling the pressure to try and stay on the up and up.
It's the top 4 teams that are invited to playoffs. So right now, OMG, as far as the standings are concerned, OMG, EDG, excuse me, World Elite, and Starhorn Royal Club, I believe. I don't have the standings right in front of me, Pyro, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think that Starhorn Royal Club, the last time I looked at it, was maybe 15 points.
No, there's 16 now, so you're close.
Okay.
It's okay. Math is
right,
easy
because
when you have the
they
standings in front of you.
split last night with World Elite Academy. That makes sense.
Yeah, then Invictus is 5th with 12. So for the one time, we don't have a tie anywhere but for 2nd place. So that's nice. But yeah, things could be shaken up once again, depending on the performance tonight. And of course, the last game will have a bit of an effect too. Edward Gaming heavily favored over World Elite Academy. They don't have a chance to leapfrog OMG, but they can't separate themselves from World Elite, and that would be a disaster finish for the week 7, week 8 kind of combination of World Elite games, just because they have played so many. They should be further ahead.
Well, and to put it respectively how Kelsey did the other night, World Elite literally had the worst week that is physically possible in LPL. They had a total of 6 games scheduled last weekend, so they played 3 sets, which no other team will do, and they only won 1 of those games. And how LPL works, it's a point system, so if you 2-0 a team, you get 3 points. If you take a draw, so 1-1, you get 1 point. And if you don't win anything, obviously, you get 0 points. So they had a total of, ridiculous points up for grabs and completely dropped the ball right there. If IG or LGD find the 3 points here with the 2-0, obviously LGD had a chance at 6 points this weekend, but got 2-0'd by OMG. That could, the fact that World Elite and Starhorn Royal Club are slumping right now, they're technically not doing as well as, they initially came out. Starhorn and World Elite definitely on kind of the down and down. The race for that 4th place seed is incredibly important to the playoffs. Not necessarily so much to IG, but definitely to World Elite. They don't have a World Qualifiers invitation. If we are going to see WE at Worlds, they have to finish in that, at least for the split is concerned, in the top 4, and then they have to finish in the top 2 of the playoffs. And unfortunately, if I'm going to make a prediction, I honestly don't think that World Elite have the run for it.
Yeah, it seems like they've definitely lost a trick or two. But hey, we'll take a brief break as they're still in the pause, as you guys can enjoy the lovely new cinematics. So when we return, the continuation of game number 1. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The League of Legends Pro League. Of course, this is the English coverage brought to you by Games in Asia and, of course, Esports Heaven. I'm Pyrotechnics on the casting desk with Frosker, and we've had a brief break to compensate, I suppose, for the very early start that we had today. And we're ready to get back into our first game, of course, Invictus Gaming, taking on LGD.
And so far in the game, IG has really struggled out of the gate, which is uncharacteristic for them. They do have more of a late-game geared composition in the threat of Maokai top, Lulu mid, as well as Tristana in that bot lane with Kid. LGD coming out swinging. Superior rotations and, frankly, just mechanical missteps from IG.
Yeah, very strange, uncharacteristic mistakes on their part. And perhaps that's the reason POL very visibly upset by the turn of events that led to the pause. A breath of fresh air, perhaps, for Invictus Gaming as they get ready to get back in. The score, if I recall correctly, 1-6, it's a tie. Not giving any chances. Guys, I'll just play on all your keyboards. It's okay. And it looks like we actually had a remake, so this game will go forward. Looks like the same picks and bans so far. I'm not sure if that means they're going to go with the same picks.
Wow, they're completely remaking the game.
I know, right?
Okay. I'm curious what the issue was, if literally this was a server issue and the computers just completely crashed and there was no way to salvage the game, or if it was some sort of bug that got enabled, but that's pretty huge. Considering the standings right now, so Invictus Gaming and LGD, frankly, very, very close. So this could be the time to surpass. And again, we talk about how that coveted 4th spot is what everyone wants for playoffs, and this is a huge swing for it. And that LGD, you know, they had momentum behind them. They were making superior rotations. They were ahead 1-6. They were beating IG in that early game. This is sketch to me. I feel
Maokai ban. Yeah, so not the exact same rules. It's funny how every ban was exactly the same, albeit in a different spot, until the very last one. So yeah, with this remake, this is like completely Etch-a-Sketch for Invictus Gaming. They get another chance. That was effectively a 15-minute warm-up for them to just go again. And no wonder LGD's upset. They literally had all of that effort in the early game go to nothing.
I'm wondering if, for compensation, LGD got to change their bans. Because IG actually used the exact same bans, which, to be fair, they're all very targeted bans. But the fact that the Maokai ban is brand new in context of the other game, and looking at the top of the score, it doesn't indicate that maybe it was a free buy to LGD and IG like lost the game initially. It looks like it's just a straight remake, but that is very curious.
Yeah, really strange, and we're going to see something a little bit more conventional. So maybe Maokai broke the game. Maybe Fizz Top broke the game. Either way, we're not going to see it this time. Yangsu on his favorite half-dragon, as well as Shuan going to get the lock-in for Jarvan. Same pick so far. Maybe, yeah, if that is a very interesting... I want to see what the rest of the picks are. If this is the same game effectively in picks and bans. So far, the only difference is that Maokai was banned out and Yangsu went on to Shyvana.
I assume that we'll see the same composition, although, I mean, this is IG's chance to shake it up. Obviously, they weren't finding a lot of success, which is curious because Illusion is very well known. So, if you know Clear Love, EDG's jungler, Illusion and Clear Love are kind of like inverse of each other. Illusion is incredibly good at early ganks, and he kind of is lackluster in the late game team fights, which he found a lot of success on Skarner, but it's very easy to team fight with Skarner in all honesty, but his ganks on Skarner early were pretty much legendary, would, you know, go from mid to top to mid to bottom and get successful ganks across the board in one fell swing. Vi, it really suits his playstyle. Like, it's an early gank champion. It has a very easy team fight to figure out. You just, you know, assault and battery into that back line or assault and battery to the high priority target. So kind of curious that he stumbled with that, but our picks are already being changed up, so it's not going to be the same compositions. Like you said, Kog'Maw now coming out, Tristana as well, being switched to the other side.
Yeah, of course, we're going to see 17 on Jax too. Interesting pickup as well to take on Shyvana. Should be a bit of a rough early game for LGD's top lane, but if they can turn it on around anyways, well, anything can happen. I mean, we saw Fizz top, so let's see what they take for the rest of Invictus now hovering the Evelyn pickup for Illusion. He did consider that in the last game. Let's see if he goes back to Vi.
I think he's going to stick with Eve just because he didn't feel comfortable in the Vi. He didn't necessarily look that comfortable.
Oh, Braum. So I'm not sold on the Braum Kog'Maw lane. It seems a little wonky, but he is a very strong
It's like
support.
It's a protect Kog'Maw composition, but typically they run this with someone like Zed or Yasuo. Obviously, Yasuo banned this time around.
Almost every time around, although it ends up being Invictus that bans it away from Wayless once again. And they do lock in the Evelynn, so we will get to see Illusion on that. That leaves only the mid lane for LGD. Let's see what they go for here. Hovering the Ahri. We know Wayless is a fan of this champion.
So a lot of the top Chinese players, of course, have challenger accounts in Korea. On Wayless' account, he's been playing a ton of Ahri, and he's been playing a ton of Talon.
But he's also thinking about a couple of other options. He did go back to Twisted Fate for a moment. Will he go with the Orianna? And he does. This is interesting. There's a lot of self-displacement in this composition. It could function as a rudimentary ball delivery system. When you look at like 17 with his Leaf Strike, you've got Jarvan with his Cataclysm. Even XQ and PYL have self-moving abilities. And that could combo up, not in the same sense as like a Shyvana might, for example, but it still could be the Wombo combo comp they're looking for.
They're very similar compositions in what they want to do in terms of their AD carry. You know, a utility support base mid with movement speed dispositions behind them. You have hyper carries on the AD carry. A bit more utility coming from Kog'Maw, but a bit more, you know, team fight presence coming from Tristana with her explosive shot, and of course that range late game. Very heavy support, protect AD carry supports. You know, they have hard engage potential on them, but they're very much more about peeling and creating a zone as opposed to like a Leona like going full in. The difference is in the Jax and the Shyvana. So obviously Shyvana about creating that zone, perhaps split push pressure. Jax, the king of split push pressure, although this is 4.11, so Jax has seen a nerf. It was on base stats. But the damage spread, the damage difference...
Still.
Yeah, and between LGD and IG right now, like Jax is going to far outscale Shyvana as far as a damage threat on the team. So, you know, if Tristana goes down, they still have Orianna as a damage threat, which Lulu, decent late game, not going to be an Orianna. If Orianna and Tristana go down, they then also have Jax to fall back on. Whereas, you know, IG only have Kog'Maw. Lulu, not the best in terms of the context of Ori versus Lulu late game. And then Shyvana.
Seems like Zatai definitely wanted to play the Lulu this time, and they've been focusing a bit on it. We'll see what they do. It's going to be the remake of the first game tonight. After a couple of technical difficulties, we'll be loading onto the Rift once again. Here we go, Invictus Gaming taking on LGD.
See if we can get that scoreboard. Yeah, so it's a complete remake. No point was awarded to either side.
And yeah, it gives a second chance to Invictus Gaming. They frankly were not doing very well early on.
Oh, it far favors them for this.
Yeah.
You have to think about the momentum that a team builds to A, have that disrupted by a pause, but then to B, have it completely reset with different team compositions. Like the fact that it's not only a remake, but that it's a complete remake with different compositions, I think is a little on the BS side.
Well, what are you going to do, right? And then, of course, you have Zatai operating like 3 computers at the same time. Although Young's in his chair.
He's literally playing for all of his teammates.
That is some serious micro.
I love that he stands up and he does the pick ban phase.
Why don't they just switch him to top?
That's what TSM did for a little bit, so they could have Dyrus in the middle. They actually had him put as the mid laner. He still played, obviously, on the top lane, but it was physically so they could get him seated in the middle of the team.
Yeah. That's clever ways to overcome specific rules. Everything's starting up pretty normally, although you do see Zatai hanging out in the river right now. Makes me think maybe they will go for some kind of invade or at least establish some ward presence. They actually have wards littering the river right now, and no one really wants to cross that threshold. There's a lot of early game catch potential that LGD has here, and they don't know if all 5 of them waiting in the bush.
Definitely. What we can really talk about is kind of what went right for LGD last game. Or I shouldn't even say last game, you know, last 15 minutes. And it was actually Chuan. He found a lot of early gank pressure that, frankly, Illusion didn't find. Although, looks like we have a delayed invade coming in.
Yep, there's the sweep coming in, making sure they're not seen up, but they will be here. as on the retreat effort, it gets swept away and the red buff gets started up. But there's 3-man here. Kitties and Illusion could contest this if they want to, and they don't know Illusion's here just yet. Gotta be so careful. Looks like it will be the very early engage. Kitties backs away after getting hooked up by PYL. Only the supports trade a whole lot of meaningful damage and everything gets back to a much normal start, but this is going to favor Invictus. So you see them coming right back on in. LGD says, no, we need this buff. We've already committed to it. We're going to be behind. And the fight once again continues. Illusion chugging potions with the best from Kitty's going to get locked up, and that is going to get smited away by Illusion. Chuan, he's getting taken low. Illusion going forward, flashing. And that was one flash burn. Kitties has to be careful not to take too much damage. Still on the chase. See if they can get themselves a first blood. That's a flash forward for Kitties. And the winner's bite coming in. Illusion is going to go down. Or Illusion's going to stay alive. And then he's going to go down. Kid's getting himself first blood and a double kill. But they had to be careful. The teleport in from 17 meant that it ended up being a 2v2 once again. So they trade 2 for 1. IG off to a much better start right now. And also, free farm Yangsu.
Okay, 2 things. I had just credited previously LGD's strategical aptitude and how impressed I was with them, how they falter a bit on the mechanical side in the context of China. Still a very mechanically strong team, but they were always much more about their rotations and their shot calling. First thing, brilliant the fact that they took the 2 sweepers. They knew that they wanted to make that invade. We got to say we have 2 sweepers, which you do not see that from teams ever. It's like 1 sweeper max, and that's if it's an Elise. But the fact that they have the 2 sweepers, they got the 2 wards placed, brilliant. Why would you invade a Braum level 1? That's suicide. That champion is OP at level 1, as well as an Evelyn. The fact that Zitai then made the statement, okay, they're invading. You say that none of the mid laners got involved. Well, Zitai forced Wayless. He shoved as hard as he could. And, his team was just telling you, we got this, we're okay, we can do this, it's fine, you don't have to come, just make sure Wayless can't come. That was a huge strategical misstep from LGD to think that they could get away with anything right there. They did not have the superior level 1, and they got burned for it.
Well, if it had all 5, it might have helped, but yeah, that was...
Well, that's a 2 buff. Well, knowing that it's going to be that 3v3, you look at Braum, no thank you, I'm out. That's a 2 buff lead on Kid for his Kog'Maw. Hasn't gone and spent that gold yet, but he also has red buff.
Yeah, and Illusion comes out losing absolutely nothing out of all that. Got the red smite away, and then he went down giving it over to Kid. Says, all right, that's fine. That's something I can live with. And then you have the 2-1 kill spread. You have, they're not showing on the screen exactly right now, but XQ is hugely down in farm because he's had to back away. Hasn't been able to been involved in a lot of that, and this is going to alleviate pressure on the bot side. And with a Kog'Maw having no pressure early game, that's great for Invictus. And now Wayless is in a bit of trouble as Illusion becomes visible and sends some hate spikes out to help the tie out. Superior farm all around on this team, actually. IG, even in the top lane, because Yangsu had a little bit of free farm opportunity to deal with this lane as well. Now there's a big of an engagement going on. XQ going forward. Shuan is in the mix, and Kid's going down. Kitties can't stay alive. Cathy Surprise won't be enough to get any damage on it. Kitty's falling down too. That is going to be a kill over to XQ and an assist to boot as Shuan picks that one up too. So there's a good play to answer back. And now Illusion in the top lane. Fine, 17. Leap Strike already spent, but he's going to burn his flash to get away from that. He's not messing around.
Very nice play from Chuan to recognize where he needed to be, where the power was on the map, and to gank it effectively. Immediately transitioned into an even earlier dragon. Last time around, it was an 8:30 dragon. This time around, 5:30. Doing a good job juggling the aggro right there. I feel like Chuan has really kind of come into his own. He was very much criticized. Effectively LGD's entire roster has been replaced. PYL and Chuan are kind of the last standing members. Everyone else come and gone. And it was almost like they were targeted for having weak champion pools. Of course, the ban against STYZ affecting that position in particular right there. But it's like you have a weak champion pool, you can be banned out off the team. Chuan kind of scraped by only being a Lee Sin player. We started to see some success on his Elise, and frankly, his Jarvan looks really good back-to-back right now.
Yeah, it's worked out for him, and I think this might be the next thing teams have to focus. And he used to be considered very much, the one-trick pony. I'm going to sit on Lee Sin and do well, and if I don't, it's not going to be as pretty. This time, he's managed to get himself 2 kills and an assist in all of that. Even if the shot calling has been a little questionable, LGD does find themselves up with a slight lead in the opening stages of this game. Invictus still mechanically misstepping. Succumbing to the gank was really surprising. They usually are good at escaping here. And now Kid going a little too far forward when Kitties isn't even there.
Is going to get a burn from that dot. So effectively in Tristana's lane phase, they recently nerfed this on the 4.13 patch. And this is how Tristana lanes kind of pan out, although Kid
and Kitty's doing a good job making sure that XQ is pushed in so he doesn't get a chance to really trade. Anytime that E is up, and that's her dot, she's going to step forward and she's going to burn it on you. It's a targetable ability, and the damage on it is ridiculous, especially early game. I think it starts out at like close to 100 damage over time with a grievous wound, so it also stops your pot and your sustain in lane. Super effective. It's like a Pokemon. It's devastating.
One of the most effective early game tools for Tristana is that explosive shot. You're right, and that's against a Kog'Maw too. Once Kid hits 6, it's going to be a very different story because he will have his living artillery to be able to shell out a lot of damage to answer. But the way that they're set up with Braum, they have to full-on engage if they want to take a fight, and Kid is not in that safety zone yet. Now Zatai pushing way less away. Illusion looking for maybe something around the side, maybe something up top. He has so many options. Zatai, yeah.
Wayless went and he farmed Race, although we do see Chuan looking at possibly a very delicious Zatai.
There's the Shockwave, there's the Flag and Drag, forcing the Wild Growther. It should force the Wild Growther out. There it is. And that was a nice trade, I suppose. You got one ultimate for one ultimate.
Got the flash as well.
Zatai is not going to fall down to a gank quite so easily. It is surprising Kid and Kitties have gone that way. Whoa, Youngsu wants to take a fight on to 17. They're both, well, level 7, level 6. And got to be careful about diving a Jax under there, but he will be able to push the wave as far as he can, despite being at actually an item deficit right now.
Youngsu doing the best job that he can on that Shyvana. It won't turn into a kill lane. Obviously, Shyvana at this point is going to get too many resistances and be too innately tanky for Jax to 100-0 without Youngsu royally screwing that one up. That said, Youngsu's not really going to be able to do anything to stall the relevance of Jax late game. So, yes, he's down in CS. What does that really mean in the grand scheme of things? Not much.
Okay, he's going to get away. Yeah. Jax is still a monster at later game, you're right, despite any of the nerfs. And this is on 17, too, who plays him extremely well.
They only equated out to about 800 gold as far as like actual stat worth, base health, and I believe a slight damage reduction.
So yes, early game is definitely a lot rougher. However, looking at the way this is playing out right now, this is one of the most standard laning games that I have seen in the LPL. They usually decide to go for a lot more shenanigans, and you can't help but thinking that IG, knowing what happened last game, are just trying to play this out as safe as they possibly can. Dragon about to come up. This is a chance for Invictus to get back into the gold game if they do teleport available on Youngsu. It's down on 17. Might come back up by about that time, though. We'll see if they do have enough. PYL looking to make a play. Splits the uprights with it.
Look at the threat, too, of just PYL stepping forward, not knowing, because they don't have vision on Chuan. He is down in that bot area, so Kid and Kitties, their spider senses are probably tingling. But just the bluff of PYL stepping forward, obviously training them, but at what point will he step forward and there'll actually be a Jarvan Lantern gank behind him?
Yeah, you never know, right? Trying to get those baits out. However, unbeknownst to them, Xuan looking to make a move around the side for Zatai. They really have been trying to focus, but he's pinged out. He's seen, I know exactly what you're doing, says Zatai. Xuan will just have to settle for trying to sweep a ward that isn't there, so he gets nothing. Oh, he might get Zatai. Whoa, hello, goodbye. I don't think so.
So Wayless finally took the CS advantage, although we do see Illusion actually coming in the back, so I may be cut off as maybe Illusion gets a little frisky.
No, he's backing away. No friskiness on this Evelyn. Not just yet.
Wayless has traded a lot of his tower's health for that Wraith camp that he's been consistently taking. He has found the CS lead, but, you know, at what global cost to his team, because that tower is incredibly low. I want to also talk about the issue last time, the fact that he doesn't seem to understand correctly when to take the Wraith camp, because the last time that the camera actually panned over there, he sacrificed pretty much half of a wave in the cannon creep, which the gold does not.
But wait, those Wraiths, they're worth so much, right? Oh, Zatai.
But wait, the big Wraith, it's like 76 gold.
Hold on. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that is a wild growth keeping that Shyvana really, really big, able to go under the tower, and that's going to be 17 going down. Kill credit going over to Zatai. Youngsu says, thank you very much, I'll take an assist, and I can push the wave. But they are neglecting their mid lane. So Xuan and Wayless are able to put some damage on this turret to answer. But, yeah, that was definitely worthwhile, I suppose.
Oh, definitely. Zatai, the OG of the Zillion pick,
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
recognized for its dive potential, makes the first successful roam other than the junglers.
Oh, here we go. Dragon being started up. Teleport available on Youngsu, not on 17, but they don't know this is happening. Kitty's trying to get around to stop it, but no, it's going to go down. They're late to the party. They went way too far on that one. Now Shuan starting the fight. He might have regretted it, though. He's going to go down before he can flag a drag over. PYL should follow him down. Back to Fountain Kid, staying alive. Just barely falls down to XQ, but they answer right on back in a 1-for-3 trade. LGD, way less looking around the side, says, no thank you, I'm going to get out of there. Spends his ghost. Actually didn't touch on that he gets a ghost, and he's trying to damage out Illusion. 17 making the long haul down to the bot side. That's going to be Illusion out of the fight. 2v2 commences Youngsu and Kitties. Youngsu's low. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of damage. You got to get out of there. Flashing away. Winter's Bite going to give him the slowdown. Ball is on, and he jumps and leaps, and that's going to be a dead dragon. 2 dragons now in the pocket of LGD, and a half dragon to boot.
So technically across the gold trade, they are exactly even, as you can see, 19.6k to 19.6k. And the reason being is that the global objective of the dragon was actually traded for that mid tower. You see that stump right now on your screen. The extra kills did help. However, great play by Wayless and 17 to get involved on the back half of that and, you know, pick up another stray dragon, as you like to put it, on the back end, but...
Yeah, I think they just have, you've been calling it, they have better objective control this game in particular.
They are so superior at rotations than pretty much most of the other Chinese teams. I talk about it all the time how I actually think that LGD is in a much better position strategically to be a dark horse of China. Not necessarily, you know, in making worlds or anything like that, but of upsetting the standings and making sure that teams that really need to get in, like Starhorn, like World Elite, don't. Simply because they're strategically superior than their mechanical counterparts.
Sounds like a topic for the finger trap. I'll defer to you for the time being. But Youngsu, he won't defer to anyone. He wants to chase out 17. That's not going to end quite so well for him if Shuan has his way about it, but he doesn't look like he's going for it. They got a pretty deep pink ward around that side as well, so they'll be able to ping out where that Jarvan is. However, in the meanwhile, it looks like we're going to see a 4-man collapse on the bot side. PYL and XQ realize something up. Smelling the danger. Illusion comes out of hiding, and he's going to find himself a Thresh. PYL on the run. Zatai on the chase. Polymorphed away, and he will not live through this one, but neither will Illusion. Big shockwave landing, and that's the bailout chance for XQ. They trade jungler for support, and it looks like they'll be happy to make that one. For all the investment that Invictus made, they still end up going 1-for-1.
They should get the tower, though. They have a wave to push onto it. It is decently low. It's now really up to them of whether they want to take it to 1 health and just kind of leave it for, you know, a rainy day fund, or if they're going to just take the global gold here. So
yeah,
that definitely means a little bit more for IG.
It definitely helps out a little bit. Now, Youngsu found Shuan, and he thinks he might want himself a pair of double buffs, but got to be careful about that. No idea where 17 is, as well as the top turret going down too. So they have 3 turrets, crack the map wide open, and they still retain all of theirs. So far, Invictus, despite some sloppy plays, they really have been controlling the tempo of the map a little bit better. Whereas they've given up dragon control over to LGD, and this is not going to end pretty. 17 with the teleport in, says, no. That's our blue buff. You can't have it, but they have to go home without it anyway. Oh, wait a minute. No, it was given.
No, they lost it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I looked at the Jarvan. I'm like, oh, he has the other team's blue buff. Okay.
No, effectively what's been keeping IG in this, frankly, has been Zatai. His effective roams to bottom and to top as well. The fact that he put so much pressure into that mid lane. So being that, you know, that true hyper carry mid lane that everyone knew he had the potential to be. You have to think of the context of China. White's cool, although hold on a second, because Illusion going a little bit hard on Wayless.
Yep, and he gets himself nice and big to make the damage happen. Wayless, realizing something was up, gets out of there as quickly as he can. You can never chase very hard when there's a Braum waiting around the side. It's a wonder that this actually made it through the picks and bans and that Kitties was able to snatch it up.
So referring back to the dynasty of Zatai.
The dynasty.
Cool, Whites, Messiah, Zatai were considered kind of the 4 top-tier mid laners in China. Now everyone knows who Cool is, everyone knows who Messiah is. They're legends. Whites, of course, was right up there with them. Whites retired, Messiah retired.
Of course, Cool's back.
Cool. Cool is now back, incredibly informed, but it was almost like, you know, with those three gone, it was really up to Zatai to blossom like a butterfly and come forth into his strength. And he took like a straight nosedive into the ground and just could not find his consistency, whether that be through champion issues or anything like that. But when he does pull out, you know, real champions like Zed, like Yasuo, like the big meta picks, so incredibly potent on them, and so incredibly important to his team. Oh yes, definitely.
Yep, now Illusion really favoring on the bot side, but we're going to see a collapse from Xuan. And there's always the option of Wayless getting in the mix as well. They really want to start taking more control of this jungle. And look at Yongsu, able to push this Jax away. He's going for Triforce very early. Well, I guess not very early, because he just didn't complete the Vamp Scepter. So because he doesn't have any completed items, he's being bullied out very hard by Yongsu, although he's got to be careful not to take too much damage from Jax. The dueling potential is there. Teleport available for Yongsu if they want to make a fight out of it. Not for 17. Seems to use that teleport quite a lot.
Actually, and you touched on it, I want to talk about how I think it's very smart that he actually went Trinity as opposed to the Bork first, simply because he is using that teleport a lot, so he's not necessarily fighting directly against Yongsu's Dragon Form resistances, although Yongsu isn't actually that tanky. She does scale with resistances as opposed to health, like Renekton, but he's getting involved with fighting, you know, people like Kog'Maw, people like Lulu, so that Sheen does more for him than his straight 1v1 matchup.
And, whoa, Kitties wants to start a fight. Illusion is around the side as well. They're really just continuing to try and feel LGD out this game. They know they have a slight lead on the map, and they should be able to secure the next dragon, which is available now. So they start it up. It's being pinged out almost immediately. PYL and Xuan want to make something of it. They have XQ around the side, but they're a little slow to react. Not sure if they want to. Kitties goes around the side, and that's going to be a dragon given over to IG now as they start making moves going forward. LGD, a couple of missed opportunities, and they've just not been able to keep up in this game.
And really what's kind of swinging the power for IG right now, they have 2 Sight Stones. If I may direct your attention to their items, you have a Sight Stone on Evelynn, and you also have a Sight Stone, of course, on the support right there. And then look at that pink ward that Jax is kind of wandering across the top of. How long has that been active? For about, what, 10 minutes close to now?
Yeah, it's like they haven't even seen it.
Exactly, they haven't even passed through it. It's effectively giving them complete control over that red buff, which Illusion did get the steal on last time. The superior ward control over the dragon area, obviously giving them the final... Oh, hold on a second, 17's now looking at the delicious dragon.
Jarvan, hidden Jax, Yongsu, gotta be careful, he's gonna Dragon's Descent over the way, and Wayless is gonna make sure he finishes him up. That's gonna be a kill over to Xuan, and the rest of IG scrambling to try and make something of it, but they don't have the numbers anymore. And they back away. LGD, nice collapse for a kill.
And effectively, IG gets nothing on that. They do get to secure their red buff. Or LGD gets to secure their red buff also. We were just talking about how they have superior vision control over the bottom side of the map, obviously, because Dragon was up for contestant. They do not have superior vision control on that top, and Yongsu literally got burned for it.
Yeah, just, you'd think fire wouldn't hurt a dragon, but after a while, it definitely starts to sting a little bit. One death more onto that. So they have been doing a pretty good job at shutting down the out of position, or punishing rather the positioning of Invictus Gaming's solo laners. However, when they do get together, the team fights tend to go in IG's favor so far. So what does LGD do from here? Do they continue to try and set up picks until they can hold out to where their late game Tristana will start to kick in? Or do they need to take the fight to IG?
They have a superior wombo combo composition, so the 5v5 will always be incredibly potent to them, especially because Wayless is frankly doing rather well. 2-0-2, 221 CS. He's by no means behind. That Orianna is very big. The issue, though, is that there's no reason for IG to fight them right now. There's no objective that's being contested. You know, Dragon's not available. They haven't really contested for Baron, despite this being China, and it's past 20 minutes.
Well, we've seen entire matches without Baron. Anything is possible. Yongsu once again trying to run away from 17. My golems, you can't have them. Well, you can have one. Okay, the other one's mine.
So the issue now is not that LGD like preferably want picks, but it's just that at this point in the game, picks are all that's available. And speaking of picks,
yeah, Wayless narrowly avoids that particular fate. Wow. While that was all going on, Kitties, Zatai, and everyone else are now joining the party to try and push on this second tier mid turret. But they have the run of the jungle. There are a lot of wards there they could sweep on out, pick themselves up a nice bit of gold. A couple of pinks available, and they will be able to find them Illusion. Oh, hey, that's 30 more gold. Let's take that. Give it over to Kid. Why not, right? Wait, I thought you got it. No, you were going to get it. Okay.
Highlight for me this game was when Wayless actually, I don't know if you saw this, when he was taking the wolf camp, he swept the wolf camp and he found the word on the back of it. Like, who thinks
I wonder if this is being recorded right now. Oh, hidden camera. Okay, cool. Yeah, inside the minds of players sometimes. Now it is LGD's turn to push on this turret. This might be their first of the game, and they're going to be welcome to it, apparently, as LGD knocks down the first of many walls up in the top lane. They also have 17 happily. I don't even know how to describe the sound effect that Jax makes. Thunking? Yeah, we'll go with that.
That's the best I got.
It's really hard to actually describe it in a sound. I've got no...
It causes post-traumatic stress disorder for me. So many bad memories.
I don't even ban Jax anymore. It's not no problem. Rito took care of that with the nerfs.
Rude. He's not taking care of 17 right now.
No, he's not.
Got his Trinity Force complete.
Definitely not.
Taking that top tower.
To get that one out. And now it is LGD running the jungle on this side. What is IG doing with all this? They are taking their time to push up towards the mid and slowly rotate around LGD. This could get really ugly.
The map is completely dark there for pretty much both teams. They kind of have an inkling of where each other are. Okay, there they go.
Now they know exactly what's going on. Kitty separates from the pack as IG continues the mobile roam and really do nothing but take farm squad, which is a terrible name. It doesn't fit on a t-shirt.
Give me one of those t-shirts.
Yeah. $16.99 plus tax. It'll take about 2 weeks to get to your house. Anyways, they're back to just trying to make sure that they don't get anyone caught up. Very much about protecting Kid, and you can see that they're trying to cover the routes that he might be approached by, waiting for the fight to happen. Illusion going to start a back here. Kitty's still waiting. Youngsu and Zatai in the mid, but they have to do something about this. LGD is starting to seize a little bit more control back, and they haven't answered really in any meaningful way.
That pink ward is still alive. That's meaningful.
We're gonna get a timer going on this. Actually, when did they place it? About 4 minutes.
It was live at the last time we referred to it was at 19 minutes. So, you know, it's almost been another 5 minutes where that thing has been available. Like the cost effectiveness of that ward right now
is off the charts.
That is an investment.
And you know what? That'll be a sweet 30 gold when they find it, but LGD, when did this get here? Oh man. That'll happen one of these days, you would hope. But so far they've been pretty good about clearing out the more conventional ward placements. Now, as it gets into about 24 minutes, you would think Baron's going to be started contested, but the Dragon is up in 13 seconds. That is where everyone is motioning right now. Looks like LGD in a slightly better position to take this. Youngsu having to back away from 17 while they're both occupied on the top side. Teleports available both sides, and this could be a bloody fight if they go for it. But so far it has been pretty decisive. Illusion waiting around the side to see if LGD does start this one off, and they're not looking for the Dragon, they're looking for picks.
Illusion doing a good job making sure to sidestep any sort of vision, not giving himself away. Of course, LG knows that he's around in the area.
Oh, they're going to go for it. Kid, he gets separated, and then they have to back off the Dragon. Now Shuan in the Cataclysm with Kid and Kitties. They're backing away. Wayless is going low, but so is Illusion. He's going to fall down, and they turn it around. Shuan, he's going to fall to the Ignite as well. 17 now, getting locked up. That's a lot of damage being dealt in the AoE, though. That is a big kill, a big pick. Wayless is going to come up big, but not big enough for his team. Everybody, well, maybe big enough for his team. Everybody on Invictus Gaming, but Zatai is going to fall down. Steel Temp comes in, and he gets it! Zatai stealing the Dragon away. Oh, my goodness. They're right back into it with a really nice turn of fortune. Zatai with the perfect timing.
Is that the Zatai? No, two things right there. The teleports were huge. It was a beautiful teleport from Youngsu. Frankly, it just was. That said, 17 on that Jax. We talk about kind of the window of relevancy for Jax. He's going to be a powerhouse no matter what. You can slow that down, but you cannot change that. And unfortunately, Youngsu could not change that at all. We have the replay. Of course, Kid getting locked up. Immediately into the fight me in the cage. Of course, a nice wild growth that keeps Kid alive, but unfortunately,
no idea what he was doing that far out, though.
Too little too late, got hooked up. Here comes the teleport here, and the damage from 17 is insane. The fact that he rushed that Trinity so he's able to tear through those squishies with Sheen procs.
Yeah, and you can see, oh man, that's crazy. But the Dragon Steel really capped it off for me. Zatai managing to make the most of a bad situation and snag a Dragon, taking the slimmest of gold leads over LGD despite that big, big loss. And now you think LGD is probably confident to pick a fight at this point.
They need to pick their fight smarter.
So how their composition should work is it should be a flank from Illusion with Evelyn ult, followed immediately by the Braum ult. Kid has to be in a far superior position than he has been. Obviously, he has the range. Like, obviously, Jarvan can dive to the back lane, but it should be much harder than, you know, Kid getting locked up by a death sentence and hand-delivered.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Youngsu, they're going to find Shuan. They really want to take this one. Invictus, so aggressive despite how it turned out last time. Ball's going to land. That's a lot of damage. And Shuan getting the lockup as well. He's going to fall in his own Cataclysm. And they turn it around. That's a kill over to Kid, who's staying alive somehow throughout all of this. And they turn it around again. XQ going down. That is a big bunch of kills. Jax having to back away. And they're going to risk a Baron here with only Kitties down. Kid is a blinking health bar. And it's just 17. No teleport available on the bot. He'll try to answer back with a tower, but Invictus Gaming, how about that fight? They knew they could do that. I didn't believe for a second, but wow.
They knew that they could do it because they had vision on 17 being in the bottom lane. In the previous fight, literally not 2 minutes earlier, they knew that the teleport was still down because it had been used to engage that fight. So they knew that the powerhouse that had really kind of like turned that last fight on the head, 17th Jax, was not going to be available. They knew they had a numbers advantage, which is why they commit so hard to this. Like, look at the bottom of your screen right now, not necessarily at the team fight. They have vision because he's in the creep wave, so they know where Jax is. This was just a terrible call from LGD and a fantastic recognition of IG. The other big thing that really saved Kid's life is he actually gets pulled into the brush here, and he drops vision. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was incredible.
If that ult had not pushed him into that brush to drop line of sight, they could have at least traded for the 80 carry. But that's a free Baron to IG, and more importantly, it's on the two most important characters, Lulu and Kog'Maw.
Yep, that, it just seems that LGD was not with it that time strategically. They didn't even have XQ ready to engage in the middle of it. The fact that they decided to turn around after the ball landed, after the Dragon's Descent was thwarted, and then Shuan just decides to dive in anyways. Yes, he was caught, but they could have just sacrificed at that point, and instead they gave up a lot more than they needed to. And now with the Baron threat, IG is looking to try and push even further in to this territory. They did lose a tower in exchange for that, but I think they're pretty okay with that trade.
Still a very close game. Slim gold lead. It's now about if IG can commit this Baron to anything important. We do have the second tier mid tower going down to the split push Lulu. That's the thing, apparently.
Yep, that's happening. So they turn their attention, of course, to the bot side, pick themselves up another, and now they are looking for the fight. Say, come out and play. We're ready for you. They will rotate instead towards the mid side. Game in their control at this point, but it could still be turned around. LGD has been showing some excellent plays this game, and now Youngsu in the midst of getting caught up with the counter-strike, trying to get away from this one. They could try for the one-man shockwave, but they won't. Youngsu going to get the Dragon's Descent to get away from this one. Everyone else from Invictus on the run. 17 looking to maybe commit to this one. Maybe a little bit too far. Kitties goes forward, gets hit with the distance, gets hooked up by PYL. Illusion getting knocked back by the Buster shot. Youngsu in the picture. That's a wild growth. That's going to be a dragon around for a while. XQ might fall down, and it's Youngsu getting the kill. They're still going forward. 17. This dragon is so big right now, finally falling down, but job well done as they end up trading 1 for 2. XQ and Shuan already fallen, and Kitties looking to make a bigger play. Getting locked up. The flash being used to keep PYL alive, and I didn't actually know this, but apparently Thresh's hook extends magically when he flashes.
Huge play from Youngsu right there. Obviously, just overcommit from 17. It is going to transfer into possibly a free inhibitor, so not what LGD
well, maybe
wanted.
Not just free. They get a little bit of pocket change on the back of that. Wayless goes down, surprise move. Kid comes up big, and now LGD running scared. They are going to try and end this. Every time it looks dire for Invictus, they start coming out with these huge plays. Tower number 1, gonna go down. That's Kog'Maw. 17 tries to make a desperate play. He's got nothing to fall back on. His health bar is melting. That armor shred is ridiculous. Youngsu teleporting in. This is going to probably be the end of this all. If it goes in Invictus' favor, it's just the Naked Nexus now. They've only got one inhibitor. They're going for it. They're going for the end right now. This is huge. Kid gets knocked away. PYL staying alive. 17 goes down on the side. Another kill over to that Kog'Maw. PYL finally going to fall down to Zatai, who's chasing away the remnants of the resistance. And XQ having to go all the way back to Fountain. Game number 1 ends abruptly to Invictus Gaming as they turn around their results from that remake in fantastic style.
Big thing right there was obviously LGD's Baron throw. That was a huge factor to the turnout of this game. LGD historically, though, has had issues closing out games, even when they are ahead, even when they are in the driver's seat, whereas a team like Invictus Gaming, they are so much more experienced. They have so many more veterans that if you give them an inch, they take a mile. We saw that time and time again. You just give them one little thing, they will completely run all over you. You cannot afford to make these tiny little mistakes against such veteran-style teams, and that's effectively what happened in the back half of the game. Is it unfortunate that the remake happened when LGD had the momentum? Absolutely. But with this already turns around kind of the previous historic record that IG had with LGD. The last time these two teams met, LG 2-0'd IG, so they now have the chance for a tie or a possible 2-0 in IG's swing.
Yeah, that you know, it is really unfortunate, and you can talk about how they got kind of really a raw deal there, but the best teams know how to pick it back up after that. And LGD, while they didn't look visibly upset at the start of the remake, they did seem to show that a bit in their play. They tried to go for some aggressive shenanigans, and it just did not work out for them. We'll see if they can recover going into the next game, but for now, standings look more or less the same as they did. Coming up on your screen, you'll see Invictus Gaming is actually going to have one more point ahead of that too. And if they win out today, they'll be within 1 point of Starhorn and will be really close to that 4th place. But you mentioned they don't need it. LGD certainly has a lot more riding on this. See if they can come back for game number 2. Of course, you are watching the LPL in English, so guys, don't go anywhere because we will be right back with game number 2 of Invictus taking on LGD.